Welcome to the Nevcast, where three bros talk business, art, justice, and the pursuit of Jesus.
Any day above ground is a good day.
Get ready to laugh, cry, and kiss 30 minutes goodbye with Peter Nevland,
Dave Nevland,
and Rashid.
Now, this might be a difficult question to answer, but we're talking about mass media as it relates to the best bang for the buck, and we'll get to this in just a second. I mean, just a few minutes, being radio and why that is. But if you can't afford radio, if you're even the smaller, because there's people maybe watching and listening to this that do smaller things than this, and they still need to kind of get the word out. Get their word of mouth. And I thought that's all advertising is. The best way is accelerating the word of mouth, accelerating people remarking about what you do and why you do it. Right. That's what we're trying to do. So if someone can't afford yet or can't afford to do it on the radio, what is mass media for someone that's got a smaller business than could even afford to advertise on the radio?
Okay, so there's two main ones, and it's because there are only three sources of traffic to your store or to your business, and one is word of mouth, meaning how well you deliver services to your customers, and then they talk about you and say you should really get this person to come to your house and do this thing, or you should buy from them. The next one is location based, meaning did they drive by your store and see it, or do they do that every day? And the third one is advertising based. So the first one, and this is the absolutely best form of advertising. It's the most efficient form of advertising. We always say that the most efficient form of advertising is expensive rent. Not that you should just be paying too much in rent, and that's going to get you expensive rent, meaning rent in a place in a high visibility location where you get lots of either foot traffic or lots of automobile traffic driving by your location.
Where it's hard for people to ignore you.
They can't ignore you. And so you have a huge sign. If you are in a hard to miss location, you want to make your building the biggest eyesore possible. You want to put as many rotating 3D spinning things, big signs that you can't miss, window displays that are hilarious, all this kind of stuff. I had a client.
Ingenuity you can save money with ingenuity.
Yes, he recently sold his business, but because somebody said your business is doing so great, I want to buy it from you, and I was like, well, happy to help you out. And he said, thank you for all your help, Peter. And then I didn't have a client anymore. But anyway, before that,
golden parachute.
He said, hey, I'm having trouble. I'm getting people from all over. This was in Dallas-Fort Worth. I'm getting people all over the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex who have heard about my company, but I don't get anybody near me who wants me to do their heating and air conditioning. And I was like, well, that's because your location is so hard to find that even if I'm driving into the neighborhood on the road that I turn off of to get to your location, I can't see your location even from the little neighborhood road that I have to drive to get to it. So you're so well hidden, nobody even knows you're there in your neighborhood. And so he said, well, what can I do? I said, look for a high visibility location somewhere. So he started looking. He said, I found one. It's on a main road. It's not a highway, but it's a main road. It was on Jupiter Road, and it had or actually not Jupiter Road, sorry, Garland Road, I believe. It was on Garland Road, and it had streets on three sides of this old gas station. It never would have worked for him to use as a base of operations. It was too small.
Right.
But he said, it's a great location. I said, okay. His primary color happened to be orange. I said, paint the whole thing orange.
Yeah.
Put your logo everywhere on it. Park your trucks in front of it. They had an old marquee sign. And so I said, make funny little messages on that marquee sign. What will the city of Dallas let you get away with? Can you put a rotating thing on the top? Well, he couldn't do that, but he could put a funny window display of, Santa taking a dump on the toilet or whatever in the window, reading the paper and stuff. And people started, I'm telling you, the very first month that he had that location painted, he got featured on the front page of a local magazine and said, welcome to the neighborhood. This company,
Free advertising right there.
he looked in his past revenue and he said, the month that we painted that building orange, we saw an immediate jump in our business, that people calling us, because they never walk in for heating and air conditioning service. People calling us for heating and air conditioning service immediately started going up. From the month that we painted that building orange, we started getting traffic. It is the most efficient form of advertising. So if you don't have a huge budget and you have a decent location, put some sort of sign up. Make your location unmissable. Another version of this is, if you have trucks that go driving out on the road, wrap the trucks, wrap your car, put it in something that's incredibly easy to read and incredibly easy to spot. If it's got, you see what More Hands. It's called More Hands Cleaning
More hands
Service, and they
cleaning
have a
service.
little
Yeah.
glove on top, and it shakes. That makes a car unmissable. So they're not just painting the car, but they're putting something on top. So anything like that sticks out, that is doing something, is a fantastic way to increase the visibility. That is advertising. You're advertising your name. The second way that you could do it is, if you have no budget, and pick a small neighborhood and just say, I'm going to send out direct mail, or like you could send out little postcards. And we did this with him before he found the location, and it started to get traction. We would send out these postcards, and on one side, all it had was a picture, and it was some interesting picture, like of some guy flying off a surfboard, right? And you turn it over and it's got a little postcard. It looks like a postcard from him. He said, hey, I'm in Hawaii right now, and while I was flying off my surfboard, I had this thought about you. And he says some cool little message that talks about their heating and air conditioning, and that's it. And then when it came time for people to start getting air conditioner tune-ups, because it was right before summer in Texas, people started calling him up from those postcards. So he picked a small amount of postcards to send out, and those started having an impact over time. I was doing direct mail with my financial advisor, and he's sending those out to a few neighborhoods, and people started contacting him saying, hey, I saw you from the neighborhoods. It took a few months again, because we weren't saying, for a financial advisor, you can't say, I'm having a sale on my services.
Right.
You say, hey, here I am on the corner of this and this in my hard to find office. I bet you can't find it. And these are the things, I'd love to have a free conversation with you, and so that you could get some peace of mind about your finances, right? And so you say that over and over with some entertaining, fun stuff. Maybe he's talking about his kids, and you're like, oh, this guy loves his kids. This is a really great guy, right? And you come up with a great story, and I'm just telling their story. Or maybe he said, hey, my Nana is the one who taught me about financial investing. She used to show up at my softball games in a muumuu, and right after she would pick me up, I was always embarrassed. We'd pick up she'd pick up all the aluminum cans on the field with her little, stick, and then put them in a bag. And he said that's how she saved up all the money from those aluminum cans, and then she paid for my college. And that's where I learned about investing from her. She's my
Ooh,
hero.
that's a great story.
It's
That's
a
a cool story.
fantastic story, and so
That's
people
great.
people love that, and they reached out to him and said, "Man, that was such a cool story. Thank you so much. It was so inspiring. We just think you're great. I have someone that I know that wants to talk to you," and stuff like that. So, doing something on a small scale can be really effective, as long as you choose a powerful message and you do it consistently, the same people over and over, because you are developing a relationship with them. You are not trying to win them over on the first date.
Right.
Advertising is like wooing someone that you want to have a long-term relationship with. You start off
Yeah.
with a simple hi, and then you say, "Hey, do you want to go hang out?" And then you keep going, right? Nobody asks a girl to marry them on the first date, and if they do, they usually get rejected. It's
Right.
very
That's why they
rare.
make TV shows, because the rejections are really huge, and so that makes good for good TV. People can't look away.
That's true.
But
That's true.
speaking of people looking away, if a lot of people have started online businesses, and this
Yeah.
is a different creature, a little bit of a different creature, and I don't know if we can tackle that whole thing. But what we could tackle, because that's a separate category, and maybe you might want to tackle it if you have something about that. But which one? Why can't we include in mass media how to reach people via, say, an online version. What are
Okay.
online versions of ways to reach people? Google
Now,
AdWords comes to mind. So
yeah,
we
the
can
AdWords.
go into why this isn't as cost effective and of a strategy.
Okay, so there's AdWords. Another one you could do online. There are YouTube ads. Like, you could make a video and have it pop up on people's YouTube feed, or we call it display advertising, where people have a little spot on their website where maybe a little picture pops up of your logo and maybe some little message on there. Those are forms of advertising too.
Yelp
Display
Yelp
advertising,
calls my wife. What about Yelp? Yelp calls my wife and says, "Hey,
right?
we see that you have a website, and we want to make sure you're getting as many possibilities as possible."
Yeah, Yelp is legal blackmail. Yelp
Right?
will blackmail you, and if you do not pay Yelp, then they will find ways to show your worst reviews first. And if you pay Yelp, then they will show your best reviews first. And so it's Yelp is it for a while. Yelp mattered a ton, especially for restaurants and home services and things. And now they don't matter as much anymore. So I would just
Mhm.
avoid Yelp altogether if I were a business owner.
Interesting.
But AdWords by its very nature is what we call a transactional form of advertising, meaning
It's not
someone.
relational.
No, it's not. It's not relational. So AdWords, someone gets on the internet, they have no idea who to choose for. Let's say they want a plumber. I need to find a plumber. Well, they type in plumber Austin, and a list of plumbers comes up. And from all the list of plumbers, they just pick one that seems to have the best reviews or look good or something like that. There is
Yeah.
no emotional connection to them. They're just I'm looking for somebody who can get to my house fast and who can give me the service that I need. They are in the very definition of transactional buying mode. And so once they've delivered that service to you, and you searched for it, um, if they did a good job, maybe you might develop some loyalty to them, but that's not mass media is not developing a long-term relationship. It's now your customer experience that you're giving to them is developing a long-term relationship. And so AdWords is only good as is best used as a complement to a long-term mass media branding or bonding campaign. And AdWords is going to produce immediate results, but those results are not going to build over time. Long-term mass media is not going to produce immediate results, but those results will work better over
Better.
time. They will
Yeah, better and
increase
better.
over time. Whereas, and there's been these guys in England. Their names Binet and Fields, Binet and Fields, Les Binet, and I can't remember the other guy's first name. But anyway, they studied 1,000 companies, and what they saw was that when people did transactional offers or sale, which is what you have to do on AdWords. Hey, best plumber in Austin right now, or free tune-up with purchase of something or other, or stuff like that. That's what you have to do on AdWords to get people to notice you and to click on your ads. They notice that people get an immediate hit from those, but as you continue doing those, your branding doesn't increase, and in fact, it actually starts to decrease over time. Whereas
Hmm.
people who do a combination of offers plus long-term branding, they get the immediate hit of some offers, but then they get this slow increase from the long-term branding. And those, they say the best ratio is somewhere between 60 to 40 off, 40% offers, 60% long-term branding, maybe 30% offers, 70% long-term branding, somewhere in there. And it's very hard to do an ad without any offer. So basically, you need to be very focused in order to come up with advertising that is long-term branding, that is relational in nature, and causing people to like you, feel really good about you, feel like they've developed a bond with you just from hearing your ads. That has to be a
Let's
really good ad. It has to
give a
take.
quick little example of what the difference is between a branded, like with Google AdWords and things like this. It's keywords. We're talking about keywords that
Yeah.
people are going to find on your website. And what's the difference between a branded keyword and an unbranded keyword? Just give a quick
Okay.
example of that.
Okay, so in AdWords, when people look up plumber Austin, that is an unbranded keyword. That means it has
Nobody owns that.
no
Yeah.
connection to your company at all.
Right.
Anybody, they're looking for any company, any that provides plumbing in Austin. That's all they care about. Now, a branded keyword
Wait,
means,
wait, wait. How expensive is that? How
oh, it's
expensive
very
is it
expensive because everybody's competing
to
for
get a
that
hit from
unbranded
those?
keyword. Everybody knows those specific ones to look for, so they compete for them. My client who was in Dallas, the one I referenced before, so they were reaching people on radio for 20 cents a person, 156 times a year. Actually, more than that. It was more like 170 times a year to reach one person. 170 times it cost 20 cents for 1 year on radio. We looked at how much it cost them to get it to have an impression, one impression, to reach one person one time on AdWords in Dallas Fort Worth on an unbranded keyword like plumbing Dallas Fort Worth or whatever. $200
Woo!
one time.
Wow.
Or sorry, no, sorry, not one time wasn't $200. One time was $20. And so when you
$20.
calculated it out,
Yeah.
it ended up being 200 times more expensive on AdWords than it was on radio. AdWords looks like it's cheaper because they say, well, it only costs you 20 bucks for a click. Yeah, but one click is one person. That's not going to grow a business. One person will
Yeah.
get you one sale, right?
But Peter, that person's ready to buy right now.
They are ready to buy right now, but they don't care who they buy from. They don't
Right.
care if it's you or if it's someone else. And so
Right.
it becomes a race. And so
Yeah.
everybody's racing for that same person. Everyone's competing for that same person. Meanwhile, all the people who say, I've got lots of money, what I don't have is time to search out a company, they're going to go with the person that they've heard that they can trust. And that person's in relational buying mode. And hey, guess what? If you continue advertising 365 days a year, 24/7, you you're in their head and you're the person that they think of first and hopefully feel best about, then you're going to get their call. And then when they call, they don't call saying, what's your price for such and such? They just say, when can you be at my house? Because they've already decided you're my choice. So
Yeah.
that's the power of advertising. You're advertising before people are ready to buy. And when they go to search Google AdWords, they might not remember the name, but if they remember your name, they'll type in your name in the search bar. And then Google pops up and it says a branded keyword. It says, such and such company, Joe's Plumbing that they looked for, and they go, oh, there's Joe's Plumbing. Yeah, I remember them. I want to click on them. Or sometimes, if your ads are really, really powerful, you'll say, Joe's Plumbing, we do an unclogification. That's what we've decided to call drain cleaning. And people will start searching if they've heard your ads enough. They'll start searching. Oh, that's funny, unclogification. I'm going to type in unclogification because I can't remember the name of that company, but I remember I need me an unclogification. So they type that in, and Google pops up. Oh, look, you got an AdWord that's a branded keyword. Uh, that's an AdWord that pops up, and you don't have to pay hardly anything for that because there's only probably one company competing for that keyword, and it's your company. Now,
Yeah.
should you be getting that business anyway? Yes. But what Google AdWords is it's not, you have to think of Google AdWords as, it's not just advertising. What it is basically it's the new shelf space of especially of home services. It's going to the grocery store and you actually show up on the shelf. So when somebody searches for you, you're actually on the store. That's what the internet is. It's another store. Amazon has proved this. Now this is the very funny thing. Amazon and Google started out completely online, and their whole thing is AdWords, or their whole thing is search. Do you know what Amazon and Google have resorted to after many, many years? Advertising using mass media, trying to win people before they ever get on the internet so that they
Look at
only
their
come to their
trucks.
places. Why? Because mass media is the way to win people before they ever come to the internet. So if you are only waiting until people finally come to the internet ready to buy, you are losing the game of winning people's hearts and minds. If you want to
Yeah.
win that game, you have to talk to them when they're not interested in buying. You have to invest some money. You have to put some seeds in the ground of people's minds, and
Yeah.
wait for that seed to then ripen and burst forth into the time when it is harvest time. Up, I'm ready to buy, and then they choose you. That is the
And
way relationships work. It's the way advertising works too. Lo and behold, and it actually fits the kingdom of God
I was
too.
about to say, yes, here's the kingdom model. It's a lot more refreshing view on advertising, because you don't have to be a loudmouth huckster. That's not the
No,
point of doing this. In the kingdom, you're trying to win people's trust. Jesus, God has won our trust. He keeps coming after us, wooing us and winning us to Him. That's reflected in the best type of advertising, telling your story, telling
yeah,
why you're trying to help people, tell why you're trying to give people what they want, and that you do best, or you're trying to fulfill your calling, and people respond to that. And you don't have to be a huckster
no,
just trying to be real loud and sale, sale, sale. I got the best of this and that, just all these snake oil kind of mentality. No, you're trying to be yourself, and you're trying to serve people.
the
And you just need to let people know that.
that's right. The best advertising professionals are truth-telling storytellers, and they
Right.
tell stories very, very powerful. You know who were truth-telling storytellers in the Bible? They were called prophets. And
Yes.
and God would have them tell these stories that were a lot of times dramatic and sometimes even extreme. Think of what Isaiah did in order to get people's attention so that they would listen to God. He was God's advertiser. God had him lie on his side for whatever it was, 18 months or something like that on one side. And they said, turn over on your other side and get a tan on that side for another long time. And one of these is going to symbolize the nation of Israel, and the other one's the nation of Judah, which they had split up, right? And then do all these different things and stuff. And everybody came up to him, what are you doing? Hey, he got their attention so that he could tell them God's story. Now, John the Baptist had to tell the story ahead of Jesus coming. He was a marketing professional, and he
Yes.
was saying, get ready, the king is coming." And then when Jesus showed up, he did everything John the Baptist said. Did John the Baptist lie? No, he told the
Right.
truth. And the
Yeah.
cool thing about Jesus is that when Jesus shows up, he doesn't just fulfill the bold claims of the advertiser who said how good Jesus is. He always goes above and beyond. And so, as a marketing professional, it's my job to tell a story that's more powerful than the stories that other people are telling. But I also don't want to tell the entire story of the company. I want you to find that out when you experience that company, that, whoa, they're actually even better than the ads say that they are. So that's a real powerful thing.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, that's pretty good. That's pretty good for
Um,
today. I knew that we would you would have a lot to say about that. We knew that you'd have a lot to say about that,
I want
because
to
you
say
can
one
sell
more.
businesses all the time. So
Yeah,
we
I want
have
to say one.
Rashid has been driving, and he's been listening in this whole time, and we haven't heard too much from him this time, but we will in the future.
Rashid.
Yeah. I landed in a bad area, brother. Hello?
Yeah, we
we're
got
here.
we hear you.
You hear me? I'm in a bad area. That's all. I can hear you.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
Sorry about that.
I wanted to say one more thing about advertising during a recession. What happens during the recession, and I want to show this little graphic, so we'll put this graphic up on the screen. It's called the advertising performance equation.
Yes. Oh, yes.
If you'll notice on the far right, you see a dollar sign. And if you notice, there's these other terms. One's SOV, it stands for share of voice. Another one is called impact quotient. Another one is CEF, or customer experience factor. And then the final one is market potential. And all these things multiply on each other. Now, if you ever get an equation like this where all the terms on the left multiply in order to get a result on the right, what it means is that whenever you increase one, the result on the right increases by the same amount that you increased one of those terms. So what happens during a recession is that the market potential term that's right there it decreases because less people are buying. So you have less people buying your product or service at one time. And what does that mean? It means your revenue tends to decrease. So the only way to win at this is number one, during a recession, your share of voice has to increase. Well, good news, if you just stay on the air, whether that's radio, TV, you continue your mass media, your share of voice, which means the percentage of all the dollars being spent in your product or service category, what percentage are you spending of those dollars, right? That share of voice will increase in a recession because a lot of people stop advertising during a recession. So good news, your share of voice will go up as market potential goes down. But think about it, it's usually by about the same proportion. So the best thing that you can hope to happen by keeping exactly the same advertising going through a recession is that your revenue will stay flat as opposed to growing. Now there are exceptions to this where, like, if you're in a city where like Austin, where market potential just keeps growing because people keep moving here and our traffic keeps getting worse. Well, then as market potential keeps growing even through a recession, and so you're going to continue growing through a recession, it's not as bad. But in a lot of cities, that market potential actually decreases or it stops growing. Now, what are those other terms though? Impact quotient, customer experience factor. Impact quotient is how powerful are your ads relative to the other people who are advertising in your category.
Yeah.
If your ads are not all that powerful, and you can get somebody to tell a more powerful ad, well, that's another way to increase your revenue. Now, a lot of my clients already had really powerful ads coming into this certain time. So they're experiencing a problem coming. So I challenged them and I said, listen, people are looking for some type of an offer. So what are you doing that we're not saying? Maybe there's something that you provide that's a little bit extra that you always do with every purchase. Or maybe there's something that you do that's just an incredible, you're close to doing this, but you could step up your game a little bit and say, let's say, for example, if your heating and air conditioning will arrive the same day or your repair is free. Wow, that's stunning. I want to call the guy who, is always available. They'll arrive the same day, and if they don't arrive the same day, they'll repair my whole unit for free. I'm calling that guy, right? That guy sounds pretty good. That's a higher impact message. So you increase the impact of your message, guess what? Your revenue will start to increase. Okay? So I challenge them and I'm saying, and so I'm going to challenge you too. If you're a business owner out there and you're watching this and you're going, how can I grow during a recession? You can either increase your share of voice, which usually takes more money. Now, sometimes with a Wizard of Ads partner, it takes a better media negotiator, which we're really good at. But let's just say for most of the time, it takes more money. The second one, impact quotient, it doesn't necessarily take more money. It just takes you committing to executing very well on whatever promise you're making in your ads. So higher impact ads. Now, the third one is customer experience factor. How much are you converting on all the people who call you? Some of the guys that I work with
Answer your phones.
they say, listen, we only get the sale on 30% of the people that call us. And I say, that's not okay. You should be getting at least 70% of the people who call you, at least 80%, 90% of the people who call you do business with you. So you
Return
need
your email.
You need training. So you don't need to actually advertise more. What you need to do is train your people better how to take care of customers better. You need to learn how to do this better. And so we'll work on training their people more. So are there ways that you can improve the training of your people? Or maybe are there things that people have to do in order to do business with you that make it hard to do business with you? How can you streamline that so that it's easier to do business with you? We talk about removing the friction of the sale. And Roy Williams, who's been on this podcast before in the MondayMorningMemo.com, this week's Monday Morning Memo is about reducing friction for the sale. Amazon has done this really well. One-click buying.
Right.
There are other businesses that have done this. Apple did this really well. They make it very easy to buy. Tesla, he references Tesla in his Monday Morning Memo. Tesla has made it super easy for you to buy a car. It's way easier than having to go to the dealer and then wait and haggle all day and then wait many months in order to get a car. For them, you get online, you click, and then you've ordered the car and the car is on its way to you. That makes it super easy to buy, and it makes you more likely to get the sale. So improving your customer experience, either by making it easier to do business with you or having your people better trained so that they serve people better once they're in their home. They're talking to them about the things that they care about, helping them solve the problems that they wanted to get solved, making it easy for them in the home, being trustworthy, being kind, being compassionate, being friendly, all those things. Train your people to do that well. And if that is the fastest way to grow during a recession, most people are wasting half, if not more, of the people that come to them wanting to do business with them because they're trying to push stuff on people rather than listening to them, finding out what they need, and then helping them satisfy the things that they just told you that they need help satisfying.
Yeah.
Those are the best ways to grow during a recession. So I'm challenging all my clients and saying, how can you guys get better at this? Because if you're already doing this well, great. Let's look for maybe a higher impact message. If you already got a super high impact message and you're serving your customers extremely well, there are very few companies that are doing that, by the way. Most companies have room to improve in some way on one of those two. But if you're already doing those two well, then it might actually then be time to increase your share of voice and spend a little bit more money, because now you have a service that's so good that we just need to tell more people about it so that more people find out how great you are. And then it's really hard. You can't hardly do anything to increase market potential. That's going to grow because of factors outside of your control, but that's how to increase your dollar revenues. And it's all right there. It's pretty simple in that advertising performance equation. So refresh yourself if you need a refresher and look back at it. But I would say that those are the things to really think about as you're looking at a recession. And hopefully, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out and I'd be happy to help, even if that means that I can help you somehow without you paying me a lot of money up front and a lot of money per month, which is what my clients usually pay. So
Yeah. Yeah.
anyway,
You can consult this ongoing or just one time, and I can end up making your radio ads sound good.
yeah, he does. And Dave is incredible at not only making radio ads sound good from a production standpoint, but on coaching people to get better performances than they would normally give, so that you sound like you're a really
Trustworthy, sound like yourself,
amazing,
sound like the best version
trustworthy.
of yourself. Yeah.
That's right, version of
And you can
yourself on the
increase that
radio.
impact quotient is what we're
That's
trying to
right.
do.
That's
Increase the
right.
impact, making you sound better and more trustworthy than anybody else on the radio, and not just
That's
a
right.
cookie cutter version that the DJ is going to read
He's worth
during his
whatever money you
monologue.
can pay him to record and produce your ads.
Oh man, that's so. I think that's probably it for the Nevcast. That was a packed business portion. Art, business, and justice, while pursuing Jesus.
Hey,
There's a
I
lot
wish
of
we
business
didn't have to
today.
say this. God cares about business. He cares about providing for his people. He talks about
Yeah,
it all throughout the Bible. Jesus
yeah,
laments that the sons of the kingdom are less wise concerning the things of the world than the people of the world are. And we need to be wiser about how we deal with our money, what we use our money for, and how we can, as Jesus put it, make friends with our unrighteous mammon. You have money at your disposal that you could be asking the Lord, how can I make wise decisions? He would love to talk to you about it. And there are people who aren't just, not every financial advisor is out to make a buck off you. There are financial advisors who care about people. EJ Rathburn was on our show, and he's a fantastic one. Adrian Van Velton, CPA, also follower of Jesus. These guys help lots of people, Christians, non-Christians, make much better financial decisions, and it tells people how much Jesus loves them. So please do not think that God does not care about business. God cares about business. He cares about serving people. He cares about loving people, and you can do that through finances. So please do everything that you can to make your business one that represents the kingdom of God and showcases His love and His truth and His awesome power to change lives.
right on. That's what we want to reinforce with the Nevcast. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah.
We'll talk to Rishi again on another episode.
That's it for the Nevcast this time. Join us next week when we talk justice, business, and art in pursuit of Jesus. We will see you soon.